Good morning everyone, it's Anthony from Don't Crop Me Now. It is a couple of days into autumn and let's have a little look around our plot and see how we are doing on plots 4, plot 2B and plot 5B. So here I am over on plot 2B. This is our mostly fruit plot and the polytunnel. Regular followers will know what's been going on around here. We have been laying a new path down the back of the polytunnel and down the front there, and we have also levelled out this grass path and reseeded it, so that explains all the metal work that's there to stop the pigeons eating all the seed. But if we just have a little look down there, we can see that the grass is coming through quite nicely, as are a load of weeds, but you know, we'll take that metal work off, run down it with the mower on a high cut and maybe just give it a little bit of weed and feed just at the end, you know, just as we're starting autumn. We can probably get away with that. So that's been the major project that's been going on plot 2B for the last 2 or 3 weekends, to be fair. I mean, we don't spend a huge amount of hours doing it, but it's taken a couple of weekends to do. We can see here we have our fruit trees. I will go around to the fig tree in a minute. It is a monster. I'll just step over this and head to the fruit cage. So here we can see our fruit cage. Let's move our high security brick. In we go. And let's have a little look in the fruit cage. Ooh, let's duck under that spider web. And let's have a little look how we're doing in here. So this is doing quite well. We picked most of the fruit in here. We picked a load of the blueberries off there a few weeks back. All the red currants came off the row down the back over there, as did the gooseberries. This was our plum tree. Due to a very late frost earlier in the year, its blossoms got decimated. There's nothing left. I think we got 2 plums. It was rubbish. And down here we have one of our blueberry plants. These have done fantastic this year. This one's the only one we've not picked because it wasn't quite ready a couple of weeks ago, so might get some of those tomorrow. So that's the fruit cage. Let's get back out and go look at the polytunnel. There's a couple more. Oh, the spider web that I avoided on the way in, I've just walked straight through. A few more blueberries there. Right, out we go. Let's replace the high security brick. And back over here. And let's have a little look inside the polytunnel. Okay, so I've just been in here this morning and just watered a couple of the seed trays. So we'll just step in. Make sure to duck because I would bang my head on the door frame. So this is where the sweet corn was. This is now out and it is some radish and, let's have a little read. Radish, flat leaf parsley, lettuce, winter lettuce, kohlrabi and so on. So basically some winter salads really. We've got the remains of our tomatoes. So a fair few weeks back we actually did get blight in the polytunnel. Once it's on the ground it's a nightmare. The spores they're in the air, they come down in the water, they get in your water butts and stuff. So when you water you can introduce the blight. So we chopped off all the leaves off this tomato plant and that's basically it. You know, there's a few little tomatoes growing there, so they might be ready in a week or 2, provided we get a little warm spell. Not too bad. Behind me we have some chili plants and some Thai basil. Smells amazing when you do the watering can in here because you get the right waft of the basil. So we've got some Thai basil in here. We've got some aubergines at the back. These didn't do very well at all. Yeah, there's like, let me try and get the camera down there. You can just see one little tiny aubergine. Basically pretty rubbish. But around here, oh, before we go around here, there's our carrots that we've planted hopefully to get some Christmas carrots, but never really tried that before, so we'll see what happens. So let's have a little moot. I was trying to say mooch and it nearly came out as meech and then I got confused. Never mind. So in here we have, I think it's Lima beans and Chinese yard long beans. Can't actually see any. Oh, there's one at the back. Let me get my hand in. There's also a big spider. You can see a couple of the beans there. There's a few of them tucked away. But over on this side, the best thing is the cucumbers. So there's a cucumber. There's another little cucumber. These ones are quite small and we're quite late in the season, so they're probably going to be pickled, I would guess. But, ow, spiky plants. There's a cucumber. And there's another one. And there's one hiding at the back down there. So there's, you know, 3 or 4 cucumbers, a couple of decent sized ones in there. We've picked quite a few of those, to be honest. They've been quite nice. So let's head out of the polytunnel. I say we're quite late in the season. It's, you know, it's now the start of autumn. I think autumn officially started 2 days ago. Yeah, 21st. I don't know. So let's have a little mooch what we've got and where we're up to, and where you could expect to be up to if you're in a similar gardening zone to us. We're in Manchester, UK, northwest England. So down here, these are our potatoes that we grew in tubs. They got blight, as they always do. So we chopped down the plants so that it wouldn't spread to the tubers, and we've just moved all the tubs over here. The little frames are to stop the squirrels, not because they dig up the potatoes, they go digging and burying nuts and then they find potatoes and dig them out. So that seems to have worked quite well to keep the squirrels off. So you can see they're all here, they're all labelled up. I might take some of those home tomorrow, so we can do some sort of, I don't know, cottage pie or something. Need some mashed potato. So that's the potato storage at the back of 2B. And so here's our little path. So a load of paving slabs that we acquired from a neighbour who was having the garden done, and the block paving was from our driveway when we had that done. And we've done down there as well. Basically this bit was just a mud bath in the winter because nothing grew here. It's a very, very large oak tree. A lot of shade, a lot of roots, sucks up all the moisture. This path here should have been grass, but it just never grows, so it was just much easier and safer to pave it. And now, as I alluded to earlier, let's wander down to the fig tree. This thing is a monster. We chop it right back every single year, and look at it. Brown turkey fig. Fantastic variety, but we're definitely going to lop that right back. You know, our plot neighbour Neil, in between his bean plant and the fig tree hanging over the path, it's like he's fighting his way through the jungle to get to his greenhouse down here where I'm currently stood. So that's going to be chopped right back, probably in about a month, and we'll see how it does. But if it's anything like previous years, chopping it back just makes it go even more insane the following year. Okay, so there'll be a little wander over now to plot 4. And here we are at plot 4. So I'm just at the summer house end, the little picnic table and all the stuff. So I'm going to go down one side and come back up the other. So let's go down here and see what we can find. So the first thing we find on plot 4 when we're on this side is our Bramley apple tree. This thing is amazing. It's really, really old. It's been in here God knows how many years. You know, we've had this plot 16 years and it was here then and established. So it must be, I don't know, 20, 30 years old, maybe even more. We normally get an amazing crop. It's not unusual for us to be loading maybe 2 wheelbarrows full of Bramley apples, but rather like the plums with the early frost, the blossoms were annihilated and we got a grand total of 7 apples off this tree. Admittedly, because the tree pumped all its energy into 7 apples, they were massive, but it was still 7. It's not the end of the world because we've still got a load of frozen apple stuff in the freezer from last year's crop. But it just shows that not every year is perfect. You know, the weather can have a real impact. a really well established tree that crops very well, and basically it's had the worst crop we've ever had. But for us, it's not the end of the world. Let's move down. Also, let's duck under that. Oh, there's one that's dropped there, so you can see kind of how big those things are. Let's get past under there, a bit of a duck. Okay, so we're past the Bramley. I'll just step in here because we're on the other side. So we've got our little pond and our little wildlife area and little wild garden thing with the cosmos plants. I'll just mention these because I'm here. So this is our carrot bed. We have another carrot bed at the other end, which we'll see in a minute, which hasn't been doing so well. So we started growing here. These door frames, these are actually the doors of the old summer house. What the hell was that? Oh, it's the fountain starting up behind me. These were the doors of the old summer house before we upgraded and built the larger summer house. So we used most of the stuff to make that, but we didn't use the doors because obviously we got those French doors, acquired those. This carrot bed is doing very well. There's some great carrots in there. There's a short carrot picking video from a week or so ago where Rachel picked some carrots for tea. I'm probably going to get some tomorrow when I'm getting the potatoes as well. Let's have a little turn around. So down here we've got our little lavender bed. There's the little fountain that just squirted into life and wet the back of my leg and caught me out. And we've got some beetroot here. I will just, is it these ones that are massive? Yeah, let me try and get past the, jungle of asparagus. The monster. Let's get past that. Ow, eep. Okay, so this bed's a bit knackered. Those of you who follow will know that we make all these raised beds. Fairly simple process to make them, but this one's definitely collapsed. This side completely rotten away. That side fell off. That corner post is gone. So this one's going to get dug out, I think, and rebuilt in the spring. But look at the size of these beetroot. Hopefully these aren't too woody, because that is a monster. That's a really decent beetroot, and there's quite a few of that size in there. Okay, let me get back out and we'll carry on down the path. Okay, I'm out. This is our sunflower bed. We always grow the sunflowers in the same location and they do really well. Obviously they're all starting to die back now, but again, we measured those a couple of weeks ago. I think 10 or 11 feet, fairly decent. So let's have a look down here. What have we got? We have our autumn raspberries. So I suspect I'll be picking some of those tomorrow. Otherwise they'll just go to waste. So let's carry on down. Okay. This bed here is where the potato tubs, where some of them were. So that's empty at the moment, with a little climbing squash at the end. And in the blue barrels we have some more carrots, so we'll see how they have done. Again, I might pick some from the thing further that we've just looked at, and I'll pick some from here and see how we're doing. And I'll just go over. Ow, I'm wearing shorts today and it's a bad idea because there's nettles and spiky things. Swiss chard. We grow that and we don't eat it. I don't like it, I just think it tastes like dirt. So it's there, it looks nice, not used. Chickens will get that most likely. And behind it the rhubarb, but we'll mention some of that when we come around the other way. This is the, I'd like to say asparagus, but I'm probably wrong. Very bushy, can't remember. Probably is asparagus. Rachel's going to be cursing my lack of vegetable knowledge, but never mind. So behind us we have our wall of beans. So just over there on the left we have climbing French, and here on the right we have Belotti beans. These we leave on the plants and we leave them to dry, and then we store them as dried beans. I find it much easier than trying to process loads of fresh beans. It's much easier to leave them to dry and deal with them that way. And here we have some pumpkins. So that one's been munched a little bit, probably by squirrels But yeah, you can see these are quite good. Certainly a very, very vivid orange on these ones. Well, that one's had a little munch out of it. That wasn't there the other day. But these are actually decent edible ones as well. So, you know, whilst we could use them for Halloween and a, you know, a jack-o'-lantern decoration, they are actually decent to eat. So that's our little pumpkin patch. And here we have some brassicas. This is some collie and some broccoli. Some of this is probably starting to go over. You can just see some broccoli there. Oh, the camera won't focus through the mesh. Never mind. Take my word for it. Oh, another sunflower. It's not actually died yet. That's not bad, is it? For what are we on? 23rd, 24th of September. That's quite good. And this is the carrot bed I was talking about. So this bed we're going to disassemble. Left the string and the scissors out. I'll take them back to the shed after. This carrot bed we're going to take apart. I don't think it's the local, I'm not sure what it is. I mean, it's protected and it kind of works well. There's a carrot gone to seed there a little bit. But we just get a really rubbish yield from this bed. We get really poor germination, but what we do get is generally quite good. I mean, there's one down there, you can see the top of it. Let me try and get there. Look at the top of that. So it's probably, well, that's probably a trick. You can probably pull that out and it's like 2 inches long, but it's potentially a half decent carrot. But we're just going to stop growing at this end. It's just poor germination, not really sure why. Okay, so behind us, what else have we got? We've got a little bed of chives, and we have our coriander seed drying and parsley, and then we'll just wander around the front of the flower bed, which Rachel tidied up a little bit the other day. So there's our flower bed. Yeah, it's okay for the end of the season. It's a lot of perennial plants. There's a few flowers. Some water storage. And let's go here. So there we have our curly kale. That's doing really well. And here we have our giant cabbage. I've give this a little prod, and that does seem to be a fairly decent, it seems solid, and it's about the size of I don't know, I'd say it's maybe a little bit smaller than a basketball, but it's certainly quite sizable. I'm just hoping it's not hollow, but it feels okay. It doesn't feel hollow when you press on it from each side. I'm not sure when we're going to pick that. Might be in a couple of weeks. So let's back off from there. So this was where the onions were, and Rachel has just planted it with some green manure in the form of field beans. So you can see they're popping up with the occasional weed in between, but it is what it is. We'll just hoe those out. We'll pull them out, to be honest. They'll pull out so easy, those couple of weeds. So that's just some field beans starting to pop up, and the same in this bed. This was the broad beans, and it's now green manure and field beans. All we'll do, we'll just sort of chop them down and chuck them in the compost, and what's left on there we'll just cover with a layer of our own compost. In the background there we can see one of our large pumpkins. That's doing okay, and we have another bed of curly kale. These are Brussels sprouts, so these are still going to be here till nearly Christmas. Hopefully we'll have some decent sprouts for Christmas. So they're doing fine. Let's just see if I can get so you can see the sprouts on the stalk. Hang on. Oh, that was a bad choice of position. There. See some there. They're doing all right. And again, this is the wall of beans, so I'm just coming around the other way now. So some more beans. Here we have some cabbages. So down the right hand side of this bed we have regular green cabbage. They're doing very, very well. Green summer cabbage, so most of those are ready to be picked. And down on the left hand side we have some red cabbage. These look really, really good. They do look good. There's one there, There's one there, and there's probably about, let's have a look, 1, 2, 3. I reckon there's about 8 of those minimum. So let's carry on down plot 4. I'll just have a little pan round so you can see where we are in relation to everything else. So we have our rhubarb bed. Strange one this year. We haven't picked as much rhubarb as we normally do. Normally it's like rhubarb crumble, rhubarb this, rhubarb that, rhubarb everything, and we just really haven't bothered. I think we're gonna clear it quite dramatically this year, sort of take some of the size of it out. The bed again has started to collapse because the rhubarb roots breaking it apart, so probably going to chop that back quite significantly. That will potentially slow its growth next season, but we'll see. We've got a neighbouring plot holder. They want some of the rhubarb, so it's not exactly going to go to waste when we take out a big chunk of the root. They can take that. That will be a sort of January job, I think. We have a fantastic recipe where you do rhubarb and mackerel. You get your mackerel fillets, you get your chopped rhubarb, you pan fry your rhubarb in a little bit of butter and mash it up so it's like stewed cooked rhubarb, and then you cook the mackerel in, you take that out and then you cook the mackerel in that leftover stuff that's in the pan, and then when that's ready you plate that up and then you put the stewed rhubarb across the top. It sounds really weird, but the combination of the oily fish and the sharp tang of the rhubarb is really, really good. Anyway, I digress. Here we have our little dahlia section. So if you have a look back through the videos, you will find a clip. It's from earlier in the year. My friend Mark came down and we built a bamboo frame throughout the middle of that to support the dahlias. It's obviously done its job because they are over 6 feet tall, some of those. They're doing really, really well. They haven't fallen over. You can see part of the bamboo frame there. So the frame will be a permanent structure. It will just stay in. We'll take the dahlias out. Well, we'll chop the dahlias back, cover them with straw. We don't remove them and put them somewhere like for overwintering storage, like some people might put them in a greenhouse to protect them. We tend to just leave them in. The frame will just stay up and the dahlias will come up and grow through and around it next season. But it's worked really well. Very nice. Our plot neighbour Rob loves collecting various flowers off his own plot, so he always pops over here and takes some of the dahlias. We're quite happy for him to do that because he also deadheads as he goes, which encourages even more new ones to come up. Down here, I don't know what that is. What is that? Come on. I bet the label doesn't tell me. Well, that tells me that that's kohlrabi. Oh, it's celiac, I think. Is it celiac? That sort of celery style thing. Yeah, I think it might be. Probably wrong. Never mind. And again, we're sort of back now at the Cosmos wildlife flower bit. And the pond is behind there. This was where all our summer salads were, all the mizuna and salad leaf and all that kind of stuff. Now, I think, if I remember rightly, Rachel planted garlic in here the other week. There's a lot of sticks marking out lines. I think that's going to be a garlic bed. Would make sense as well because it's double height, quite well drained. So I think that's the garlic. She's going to go mad because I can't remember anything, but never mind. Back to the picnic area, and here we have some more brassicas. So they're doing okay. So that is plot 4. We have plot 5. Well, plot 5B extends as far as that compost bin you can see just between the middle of the 2 bean frames there. So this is plot 5B. This is a mix of fruit, beds, and also has our greenhouse. So let's have a little wander around this and we'll end at the greenhouse. So I'll go this way to start. So we have our strawberry bed, which is going to need thinning out quite dramatically. But I did okay. We got some strawberries, but that's going to get thinned. And then we've got some leeks down there. And some parsnips in the background and more bean wigwams. We've got some courgettes and some squash growing there. We've got one rogue squash that's decided it wants to adventure over and join the strawberries. That is our pear tree. That's a variety called Conference pear. We picked those last weekend. I think we got like basically a layer. It filled a layer and a half of the wheelbarrow, and that's like 2 trays of our fruit storage thing back at home in the garage. Let's have a little wander around. So we've got some Swede, they're quite decent. And again, the leeks there behind. Got some more beetroot here. Things are doing okay. I think Rachel is going to be on a pickle-a-thon with all these, to be honest, but we do love a bit of pickled beetroot. More beans drying on the plant. So we've got climbing French and butter bean here. So let's have a look at the butter beans. So there's a butter bean. And then in the sort of ramshackle poly cage thing, whatever you want to call it, actually looks like bindweed. In theory it's sweet potato. No idea how successful that's going to be. We'll have a look at that another day and see how it's doing. These are our double compost bins. So I've been measuring those, and I need to order some stuffed so that they can be lined to keep the heat in and help it compost down faster. So yeah, we're hoping to fill those this season. And then down on the end here, this was a strawberry bed, but we've removed it and just replaced it with a small bed and a water butt thing. Again, more beans, and again they're all drying on the plants. So we do grow quite a few different varieties of beans. Let's have a look what these ones are, see if the label still exists. These ones are called purple TP. So we're picking a lot of these. Always something to do. Sat at home watching a film, podding beans. And it has to be done. So beans, beans, beans. Some peas down there. Didn't really get a great yield of peas. Got some proper ones dried here on the plant. Another bean, not a pea. What's that? Runner beans there. So yeah, I mean it's the start of autumn and there's still crops to come, still crops to go in that go in to grow over winter, and there's things that will still be giving us food right up to Christmas. This is a sweet pea frame, so we've let most of these, there's like one sweet pea there left, but we've left most of these to dry on the plant. I think we're going to be putting the seeds in Christmas cards, so when we send out Christmas cards people can plant some sweet peas in the garden. We did it last year with sunflowers. People seem to like that idea. There's the courgettes, probably a few ones in there. If I find one I'll take one tomorrow. And then down to the final bit, well hang on, I'll go to the greenhouse last. So we've got our 2 little cold frames there with some bits and bobs in. They're doing okay. Not needed to water those, so we've got some strawberry plants in that one and some more strawberry plants in that one there, the plants that came out of the bed we just walked away from. Not sure what that is, so I'm not even going to guess. So these do okay, they do really well, made from a couple of recycled doors and some old fence panels, the shiplap from the fence panels. Just painted it up with some outdoor paint, painted the inside with a bit of whitewash. It worked really well. Don't need to water them because the rain can get in. Let's have a little look at our apple tree. So again, regular followers may remember that this was the apple tree that we grafted 6 different varieties of apple onto, and it's done really, really well. I'll just step back a bit so you can see how tall some of those are. So some of those definitely going to need to be nipped back a little bit in the winter. We should have done it in the summer, to be honest, so that it concentrated more of its energy into growing its branches. It did well. We got a couple of apples. I know that sounds rubbish, but it was the worst tree ever. The apples that came off this tree were awful. Both size, flavour, everything about them that made them an apple was just bad. So we grafted these different varieties on, and they've all taken really, really well. And one of the apples we got the other day was off the variety Sunset. I don't know whether Rachel posted a photograph of it, can't remember, but it was like a picture perfect apple. It was like bright green, and then when you took a bite out of it, the flesh was crisp and it was sweet, and it was like really, really bright white, really good. So hopefully we're going to get some decent apples off this little tree over the next few seasons. It's really pleasing to see how successful grafting an apple tree can be, even for a complete novice. And again, if you look back at the video where we did the grafting, yeah, it's not particularly difficult, but it was certainly interesting. And finally, on plot 5B, we have our chili greenhouse. Look at that. I'm going to go in there in a minute, but you can see those. They are amazing. Look at those. Fantastic things. So let's just open the greenhouse door and step in there. You just have to bear with me because this is really fiddly with one hand. There we go, we're in. Well, we're kind of in. So I've got some good ones there. That one's been munched. Our shallots are drying here. A couple that fell on the floor, I have to pick those up. And then this one here, this is the Apache variety. That's kind of the normal size of bush plant that we grow for Apache, usually a little bit smaller. But this season we've started growing them in these bigger tubs, and my word, it has worked. Look at this one, look at the state of this. I think that's a 20-litre tub, and look at the plant. Amazing. And it's when you start spotting all the green ones that are ready to ripen up that you realise how many are on there. Absolutely superb. And they're a fantastic little chili, this variety. They, you know, they're hot, but they're not ridiculous. Let's just have a little look around in here. So yeah, you can see all the, I think it's spaghetti chili, I think. This is the one that they go for the world records. We picked one the other week and ours was 35 centimetres long. The world record is 50.5, so some way to go. But there may be one tucked away in there that's half decent. Hoping to find one that breaks the 40 barrier. I'm going to have a little look tomorrow, I think. Well, that's it. That's the chili greenhouse. Let me just step out without clanging into the door. I'll just leave that open a fraction. Well, the window vent hasn't opened, it's not warm enough, but just like to let a little bit of airflow in there. So there we have it. Plots 2B with the polytunnel and the fruit cages. Plot 4, still producing stuff. Plot 5B, still producing, and a lot of beans and things drying, ready to be stored. So that's where we are as of 23rd, 24th of September, start of autumn in Manchester, UK. Hope you enjoyed this little wander around. I know I can't remember half the names of some of the vegetables, and I apologise for that, but never mind. Hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, like, comment and subscribe. Bye bye.